Hello everyone, Pastor Seth here. I hope this message finds you doing well and having a restful, relaxing Labor Day weekend. I want to ask you all a question today. How is your prayer life with God? I wonder if you've been asked that question before. It's not a question that I was often asked previously, but as I made the transition to serving as Olivet's pastor, I began meeting regularly with a spiritual director. I did this because I recognized that of the utmost importance as I served in this role was making sure that I was taking care of myself and my own spiritual well-being. If I was going to be giving of myself to others, I needed to make sure that I was taking care of myself. So I began meeting with a local pastor who has been serving as my spiritual director. And each month as we meet, she begins our meeting by asking me, Seth, how is your prayer life? Early on, I said, my prayer life, I think, is great. I mean, I pray all the time. I pray on Sunday mornings with the congregation. I pray throughout the week with the staff. I pray with different committees and groups that I meet with. When a prayer request comes into the church, I lift that individual or that situation up in prayer. But my spiritual director pushed and she said, well, what about yourself, Seth? Do you ever pray for yourself? And I realized that that was a gap. That no, I often don't think of praying for myself or my own personal needs. I guess I do a good job of praying for others, but fail when it comes to being attentive to myself and being open and honest in my conversations about God with what's on my mind. And so it's an area where my spiritual director has pushed me a little bit. I want to share with you all a way to pray that I have found very helpful over the years. Maybe you've heard of this before. There's different variations to this. It's called the 5-finger prayer. And you begin with your thumb. And you place your thumb on your heart because the thumb is the finger that's closest to your heart. Reminds us to pray for those that we are closest to, our family, our friends, our loved ones. And then you take your index finger and you place it on your thumb and you pray for those who guide us, who instruct us, who care for us, for teachers, for pastors, for doctors and nurses and others in the healthcare field. The middle finger is the tallest finger, and it reminds us to pray for our leaders, those at all levels of government, making decisions that impact our lives. The ring finger, it's actually the weakest finger, and it reminds us to pray for the vulnerable in our midst, those who are marginalized, those who most need our care and compassion. And then finally, our pinky finger, which is the smallest finger, reminds us to pray for ourselves, to lift our needs before God. But what's really special about this method of prayer is that after we have prayed for those we love and hold dear, those who teach, guide, instruct, and care for us, our leaders, and the vulnerable and marginalized and those in need, it helps put our prayers for ourselves into perspective. I have found this method of prayer to be incredibly helpful, and I hope you do as well. I hope as you enter into the week ahead that you'll take a minute and ask yourself, reflect on this question, how is your prayer life? Do you pray for yourself? Do you take time as you're in conversation with God to not only pray for others, but to lift your own needs before God? Friends, I hope to see you all soon, but until we are back together, may you be reminded of God's love and God's grace that does bind us all together.